Good day and welcome to the world of business and finance here on Echo Television International. I am Rachel Tanze, and there have been claims that Nigeria has defaulted in their payment of debt to China. However, DMO has come out to clearly say that that is not the case, that Nigerians have been up to date with the repayment of loans and debt gotten from China. We all know that China, among many other international countries and bodies, are the highest when it comes to our debt profile and how much loans we need to settle from them. We've seen a rapid increase in the span of 7 years from 2015 up to 2023 that we have grown high above 209% in our debt, and specifically from China. Now, it describes that the report, now this is coming from the DMO, saying that this report is false and misleading and urged that the public ignore them. The DMO assured that the country was fully committed to meeting all its debt obligation and when it is due. Now, amidst our debt profile, we know that we have a debt profile of over 46.25 trillion naira, and the agency said that the statement that they claimed Nigeria was facing penalties amounting to 41.31 billion naira was also untrue, meaning we don't have a fault, neither are we late in paying our debt to China, but then we have been committed as a country to paying our debt. Whatever might be true or false, what stands sure is the fact that we have a very high debt profile with China at the top, and recently with the $800 million gotten from the World Bank as a palliative to the less privileged Nigerians for fuel subsidy for the World Bank alone, we are sitting at a position of 6 trillion naira, which is still high. And I believe that the federal government, the department, making sure that they are managing this debt, are saying that they are committed to paying this loan. However, some of these loans have the lifespan of 25 years. That is how it has been placed. So no matter how committed we are to loan payment, we still have a long way to go. But the solution is that we do not take loans anymore as a country, but rather find ways to generate more revenue, that rather being the countries lending, we are the ones borrowing to other countries that need our help. Now, the VAT have dropped, and we have seen that the FAAC has given the allocation for March. Now, the Federal Accounts Allocation Committee has shared a total of 714.629 billion as March 2023 Federation revenue to the federal, state, and local government council and other relevant agencies in the country. This was disclosed in a communique issued at the end of the FAAC meeting for April 2023. The amount includes gross statutory revenue, value-added tax, exchange gain, and electronic money transfer levies. Now, a quick breakdown of how these monies were allocated. A breakdown of the figure showed that the federal government received 276.141 billion naira. The states received 232.129 billion, and the local government council got 95.243 billion naira, while the oil producing states received 35.102 billion as derivatives, a 13% of mineral revenue. Now, if you look at this, you see that we've given report of the allocation even for February, and you will see that there has been a consistent decline. And no wonder we are seeing that the value-added tax, that these taxes and revenue are going low. In January, the FAAC allocated 750.17 billion. However, in February, it went down to 722 billion naira, and now in March we are seeing 714.60 0.629 billion. There's been a downward reduction in how much FAAC are distributing to the federal government, to the state and the local government. However, it's as a result of taxes dropping, in as much as sectors that are given the power in generating tax. We've seen that we saw that last year they generated trillions when it came to the custom and also the FIRS. However, these taxes also are still decreasing in a lot of ways, because now we're not just talking about custom duties and all of that, but we're talking about the value-added taxes to the goods and services we consume. They are dropping, and we can see that as a result of that, we are having our federal allocation dropping. Now, as the allocation for March, now we have states that get, among many, we have Delta, we have Bayelsa, we have Lagos. These are states that get a bigger chunk of the allocation, the state's allocation, compared to other states. However, we have an issue where Bayelsa is still part of the struggling states in the country. They are still having poverty and struggles left, right, center, despite having been among one of the states with the highest allocation. Now, this call for transparency and this call for the government of Bayelsa to say directly and speak up what are these allocations being used for, seeing that amongst many other states, they are receiving the highest in the country, together with Lagos, Delta, and other states. Bayelsa is one of the recipients of the highest allocation, but there is a struggle with poverty in the state, and we call on the government, and we're talking about from the federal level, to check on Bayelsa and know what is the reason behind, because it means that money is being given to Bayelsa. They are getting their allocation as it is. However, not much is seen in the standard of living of its citizens and businesses and every other thing. Now, amidst inflation, one of the sector or one of the products that have suffered inflation the most in Nigeria is rice, and our local rice price has jumped by 200%. Now, this didn't happen overnight. Now, rising insecurity in the country, import ban, and other factors has caused the price of 1 kilogram of local rice to rise by 201.52% in 7 years. This happened despite a multi-billion naira funding support of the Central Bank of Nigeria for the nation's rice value chain aimed at boosting production. Data from the selected Food Price Watch report of the National Bureau of Statistics analyzed showed that the average price of 1 kg of local rice rose from 172 naira as of February 2016 to 520.84 as at February 2023. Now, this will be perhaps the wholesale and the distributor's price. However, at the retail level and down to the consumer level, these prices are fluctuating and way above 520 naira. And if we can clearly remember, in 2015, the CBN stopped the importers of rice and 41 other items from accessing foreign exchange at the official window in order to encourage local production. Yeah, this was one of the major change we faced when it came to the present Muhammadu Buhari's administration, where there was a ban on the importation of rice to be able to enhance local rice farming, where we had a lot of promotion of consume what is made in Nigeria. And we have been consuming Nigerian-made products. However, rice, which is a major consumed food in this country, we've seen that the price of rice has been hiking and been going high due to inflation, and we can see that insecurity is also a major factor in this. Now we are looking forward to a situation where security will be better and we will have the prices going down rather, and also as inflation is being tackled, in as much as these rice are made in Nigeria and we have been consuming this product, we are looking forward that every factor affecting the increase of this price of rice drastically up to 200% will go down immensely, because the hardship is not getting any easy for Nigerian citizens. Now, the Aviation Workers Union have been on strike, and the boss of the aviation the aviation union is saying, okay, this is a warning strike in the first place. However, the aviation sector has suffered losses. Now, the Aviation Union for Workers has been on strike, asking that the demands be met. Now, the Director General of the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, Captain Musa Nuhu, has disclosed that the industrial action by aviation workers, which started on Monday, has resulted into heavy financial losses running into billions of naira. So the aviation sector have suffered losses into billions of naira due to the strike by its workers, from direct losses to the airlines and indirect losses to the economy, because when people miss their connection, as a lot of loss I can say, but I can guarantee it is in billions, at least over billions of naira. We're looking forward to the demand of the aviation workers to be met, because every revenue generated is important in this economy, as we are seeing that our tax is dropping, and we have seen the effect of our tax dropping on the allocation that we have received at the federal level, at the state, and even the local government area. Now, we have high interest rates, inflation, and forex scarcity affecting manufacturers. Now, we start with inflation. Nigeria's inflation rate stood at 15.63% at the beginning of last year. Already, experts have raised concern over the country's double-digit inflation rate. While there was optimism that things will stabilize in the course of the year, but the opposite will be the case, as Nigerian inflation rate kept accelerating monthly, hitting a 17-year high at 19.64% in August. It was 22.09% as of November, and it keeps going high even in this year, 2023. For manufacturers, the inflationary pressure would echo as ripple across the pond, from the increased cost of products to rate hikes, which negatively affect their capacity to obtain loans. Now, for manufacturers, they still need to procure raw materials for production. Every finished good has a raw material, and we can see that inflation doesn't stop at finished products, but even at raw materials. You go to the tomato market, and there is inflation affecting the production of tomato, of maize, for our cereals, meals, for our quick meals, and every other thing we consume. Now, we can see that there is a ripple effect on inflation from finished goods to from raw materials to the manufacturers who try to make finished goods available to us. Now, for foreign exchange, scarcity in the country did not also help the cause of manufacturers in the year under review. While the forex window remained mostly volatile, it was difficult to predict the headwind that was about to blow in the direction, which propelled the exchange rate at the parallel market from 450 naira per dollar in January to over 900 naira per dollar by October. Now, we can see that our foreign exchange scarcity, and the more our naira keep devaluing, how this has affected manufacturing. Some of these goods are imported, and some of these raw materials are imported. Now, one thing is for sure is that Nigeria, we depend on a lot of imported goods, and this directly and indirectly affects the finished products and everything we manufacture, even if it's on our soil, as long as we don't have the complete purchasing power and we don't have the whole materials that are in charge of that, if it's not inflation, it will be the forest scarcity affecting manufacturers. We have skyrocketing energy cost, where the price of diesel have gone really high from 199% to 227. You can see how it has been increasing. We're not even talking about petrol, we're not talking about aviation fuel, we're talking about diesel, because we have machines that are used for manufacturing depending on this diesel. And we also have excess duty introduced. Another major development that plagued the production sector was the introduction of an excise duty of 10 naira per liter on all non-alcoholic, carbonated and sweetened beverages in the country. The charge was part of a new policy introduced in the Finance Act, which was signed into law by President Muhammadu Buhari in December 31st, 2022, alongside the 2022 appropriation bill. Now, we clearly have discussed about this new excise duty on beverages, and one of the reasons that the finance minister mentioned behind this excise duty was for the health of Nigerians, so that it will discourage the consumption of these carbonated beverages and things that are not healthy for the citizens. Now, Nigerian oil reserves fell by 0.22%. The Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC, yesterday reported a marginal decline in Nigeria's oil and condensate reserves between January 1st, 2022 and January 1st, 2023 by a volume of 0.22%. The development, the Commission announced, has now reduced the country's total oil and condensate stock to 36.96 billion barrels, even though Nigeria retains its position as Africa's #2 country with the highest oil reserve and highest producer of the commodity on the continent. Now, although crude oil contributes over 85% of Nigeria's foreign exchange earning, its contribution to the gross domestic production, he said, is about 6.33%, while Algeria and others are having 10.2%, Angola is 30%, and Libya is over 50%. But aside the catalog hydrocarbon potential, Komolov stated that Nigeria was blessed with potential for blue energy, solar, wind, biomass, as well as the source of renewable energy to leverage for right energy mix in the energy transition regime. Now, we are looking forward to a system where we are not only depending on our oil reserves for energy, but that we can go to solar, we can go to wind, the biomass, blue energy, and many other energy resources, renewable energy resources available out there for us, that it will get to the point that no matter the level of our oil reserves and whatever it drops to, it doesn't affect our productivity as a country and even the income we make, our earnings and our GDP in general. Now, we have Access Holding announcing gains and wins of over 1.4 trillion gross earning. And on the other hand, we have Union Bank Holding being threatened by a court judgment of 1.49 trillion naira debt, and this threatens their bank stability. Now, we have banks like Zenith and UBA who have always put out their gross earning out there and the profit and the gains they've made in the previous years on years. However, the Access Holding PLC now have announced that 15 trillion naira in total assets for the full year ended December 31st, 2022, to outshine its peers in the league of Tier 1 banks. According to the result presented on the floor of the Nigerian Exchange Limited, the Pan-African Bank reported 15 trillion naira in total assets, representing an increase of 28% from 11.73 trillion naira reported in the corresponding period of 2021. Now, in as much as their earnings is still coming up, and we can see it's a fight for top tier. We have seen that, yes, the Axis Bank holding are doing okay. However, on the other hand, a court judgment is threatening Union Bank stability. The Union Bank of Nigeria PLC has admitted it may be facing its worst nightmare yet after a Nigerian court awarded 1.49 trillion against the bank. Now, the banks look at the Supreme Court to overturn the judgment made by the appeal court. So we'll keep you up to date, whatever it is. However, this judgment is threatening the stability of Union Bank as it stands. Now, we have the Lekki port getting ready, set, and also the federal government have their eye on the earning potential of the Lekki port. Now, the federal government is targeting there about 23 billion naira just from towage services at the Lekki port. Now, following the approval of the towage service concession to a firm at Lekki Port by the Federal Executive Council, the federal government is to earn more than 23.1 billion naira from 5,000 vessels patronizing Lagos Seaport between January and December 2023. Towage service is mandated by law to aid politage operation, whereby tugs are employed to assist during the maneuvering of vessels in restricted water channel of the port. Now, we can see that according to the Nigerian Ports Authority, minimum of 2 tugs are required to for each movement of inward and outward uncharted channels, with politage districts shall be gross tonnage, that's GRT, of the vessels multiplied by rate as in schedule. Now, this is all the breakdown of how and the money that this is going to be used for over 5,000 vessels. And now the federal government is eyeing and targeting a revenue of over 23.1 billion naira just from the towage service alone. And this is how far we can go today on business and finance. Keep a date with me next time.